Well, after a really strong weekend in crypto, Solana's price has now done something that was rather unexpected that could have some pretty big implications over the next few weeks. And so in today's video, we're going to talk about exactly what Solana's price has done and what this could mean for it going forward. And so with that said, of course, let's not waste any more time at all, and let's get straight into today's video. So of course, what we've been talking about over the last few weeks were these two interactions. I said there's two major interactions you need to pay attention to: the interaction with support down here and the interaction with resistance here. I told you all about 2 weeks ago that we were in a triangle, and the direction that we broke out was going to be super important to pay attention to, because if we did lose support, we're likely coming back down towards $15.70, but if we were able to break this resistance, we could see a return back up to $20, possibly the upwards of $22 to $23 for a 10 to 15% gain to the upside. And as you can see here, over the last few days, Solana's price has done an absolutely amazing job at getting up towards this resistance, stabilizing at it, and then of course breaking above it here. You can actually see that this was a well-supported move. Let's get this off the screen. You can see that this is a well-supported move, as if we do look at the 4-hour charts, for example, and we pull up this 4-hour chart prime oscillator, we actually did get to a point of a little bit overextended, right? As you can see here, if we turn on these 4-hour Bollinger Bands, we did get a move up towards the upside of these Bollinger Bands. As we did get outside your Bollinger Band, you had that red reversal flash right here, and so that's kind of saying like, hey, this might be getting a little bit out of hand. Maybe we need to start to slow things down here for Solana. But what ends up happening from that point forward is that the price did then get a bit of stabilization, a bit of a pullback towards this key level of support. As that happened, we got this strong drive of bullish divergence with the green bullish momentum dot forming. And as we did, of course, get that double indication there, boom, that allowed for the breakout over the last 12 hours. It was a well-supported move. It was a very healthy move, and it was a strong move. And I do believe that although we are now starting to get a little bit overbought, which could be an indication like, yeah, pullback's probably coming, it does seem as if we're not going to go back under this line. We've at least broken above it. So if we're gonna maybe back test or go sideways, but it doesn't really seem as if we're gonna get some type of move back straight down under this and immediately start crashing to the downside. So with that in mind, now that we know that we've officially broken this key level of resistance, let's actually talk about what to expect next from Solana and how I do think that this is gonna play out. Okay, now I also did want to keep you guys up to date on something just really quickly. So a couple days ago on the channel, I told you all a little bit about what was happening over at SolidusAI and AI Tech, and the fact that I was starting to get involved with their community, especially while I'm waiting for Solana to make moves. I'm waiting for Bitcoin to make the stronger moves that I need. While I'm kind of bored in the market, I have been getting involved with some of these smaller communities. And so with that, I wanted to update you actually really quickly, because they're doing a couple things that have been beneficial to me that I think could be also beneficial to you. So I just wanted to take a quick pause before we get into that. And I do remember I am a part of their network. I have started to work with them on a more personal basis. And so do keep that in mind, of course. Now, what I wanted to mention to you is that as they are growing and as they are starting to develop more and more, they're doing a ton of giveaways, a ton of added value to their holders in terms of higher rewards, airdrops, and things of that nature. And so a few examples of that: first and foremost, they're doing a campaign with Galxe, Galxe, in which the winners will be announced on September 26th. You can win up to $10,000 through this campaign, which is honestly pretty damn good, especially at this part in the market. Now, not only that though, they're also doing a ton of work with some of these different liquidity pools. As you can see here, if you can explore high APR opportunities by adding liquidity to AI Tech / BNB on Thana. Now, to consider, of course, these percentages always go down the bigger the pools get. The more people that invest, the lower that goes. But at this given point, considering how new they are, there's about $14,000 to $20,000 stake there. There's a lot of opportunity to receive an APR, and so of course that's another thing to check out. Now, a lot of what they have been doing and a lot of these giveaways, airdrops, and competitions they have been doing has been a direct result of just the amount of partnerships that they've been able to accomplish, right? As you can see here, they just finished up a campaign in which they announced one partnership every single day for 30 days. And some of these include, of course, Nvidia, Carbon, Baby Doge, Thana. They have Air NFTs, Omnia, some of your bigger companies within the space, right? And so as they are doing all of this, a lot of these rewards, a lot of these giveaways, competitions, partnerships directly impact the holders. A lot of holders have been receiving a ton of these rewards. And so personally, I've been trying to get a part of that. I just wanted to become a part of that community, and I wanted to share it with you as well, because of course I did think it'd be beneficial. Like I said, remember they are working with my agency, they're working with my own YouTube channel, and so do understand there is a personal bias there, but I do believe that they're very strong, and I wanted to share that with you before we continue on. Now, In terms of continuing going, sorry, let's talk about what I am expecting now and how I'm going about this now. So what I will first and foremost say is I did buy a little bit of Solana here. Every time we break a trend line like this, I always just buy a little bit, right? Because although my gut says that Solana's probably still going to get the break to the downside here, you never really know. Right? You can never really know. There is still an opportunity that it says, you know what, fuck it. We're going to come back up and we're going to retest the top side of this trend line one more time. We're going to touch the top of this channel one more time before we eventually come back down to break down, right? It will eventually break this key level of support. It almost always happens. Unless some type of huge catalyst within the world of crypto just sends crypto straight up, it's almost always going to break to the downside, right? And so although I am a little bit skeptical and cautious of that, you never really know when that breakout's going to happen. You never really know when we're going to get this move here. And so because of that, I did buy a little bit. It was about equal to 4%, 3 to 4% of my total position size for Solana. So not a huge buy by any means, but it was a decent size buy and one that I am pretty happy with, right? Buying Solana under 20 bucks for me is great because I do believe that Solana is going to hit that $80-ish threshold at some point, and so of course that could be a nice 4x from here. Now the next time that I'm going to buy Solana after this is if it's capable of breaking $20.65. The reason being is that this is a key level of both support on the bottom side and resistance on the top side, and if Solana is capable of breaking that level, I actually do think the next stop is probably somewhere around $25 to $24, somewhere up here. Of course it wouldn't be perfect, it would probably be something like this, but I do believe that would be stop number 2, and so obviously I would want to capitalize on this move here, as of course that would then be our next key level of resistance, right? So at this given point, I am waiting to see if that does happen. Who knows, maybe we put in some type of inverse head and shoulders here, breakout, boom, or obviously there is still the opportunity that we do run into some resistance, and then we eventually do capitulate to the downside. I still do hold on to the idea that if we do break to the downside here, we're very likely coming back down to 1571. It still would be a pretty damn good setup to get a short trade in if we do break this key level of support here, boom, because again, that's that's a move of a solid 14-15%. So I would be open to shorting this thing if we can get this move, but obviously that's just a guessing game. We have to wait and see what happens. So at this given point, I have now acted. I did purchase a bit of Solana here, as I do anticipate a possibility. There's a possibility, I would say 30% chance that Solana does get a break towards the upside and we start making moves up here. And of course I can take some profits or do whatever I want, but obviously I'm not doing any big purchasing until we do clear some of these higher up levels, the first one being $20.64. So keep a close eye on it. There is a possibility that this happens, but still a lot of the bearish, the negativity, the things that we were talking about last week are still intact. They are still in play. And as I mentioned before, there's an extremely high likelihood that Solana breaks this key level of support at some point soon. And so I wouldn't be going too crazy with where we are now. I am optimistic about this move. I am excited the fact that the Solana bulls are still willing to step in here, but you have to remain realistic in the sense that September is historically a bad month for crypto, and this doesn't seem to be much different. Okay, so with that said, I will of course keep you up to date as this all does play out. Just make sure that you do subscribe to the channel, and well, I'll see you all next time. Peace out, everybody.